me, if I was Isaac, I would be asking a ton of questions. Like like what's going on?
Yo,
Like
I've
we
seen
got
this
the
happen before,
what?
Dad. There's some smell fishy here. What's going on?
So it's like not only is it demonstrating Abraham's faith in God, but it's demonstrating Isaac's faith in his father, which I
Mm,
thought was interesting.
that yeah. Okay.
Like, Dad, I trust you. Like, okay, you said we're gonna go do this. No more questions asked.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of faith. As a kid, I would be asking a lot of questions.
And that's the only thing that we get recorded from Isaac. So what is going on, XYZers and XYZ Nation? We back with our next episode, looking at Genesis chapter 22. And the title of this episode is the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. I don't know why I say Isaac funny. I always feel instead of Isaac, I always say Isaac. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm just weird.
Because you want to be Hebrew.
Maybe. No, I don't want to be Hebrew.
Isaac.
I'm just weird.
Okay.
Okay, anyway. But so yes, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. After that, we usually do something, and that something is to introduce ourselves. So I am the latchkeyed one himself, the former X-Man, representing Gen X, all up in the area, Chris. And all the way at the far end, we have
I am Moriah, the resident millennial,
Da-da-da-da!
and we are Generational Scriptures.
Yes, we are.
And today we have a special guest, Kayla.
Yeah. What's up, Kayla?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kayla. I'm Gen Z.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Gen Z. I'm an undergrad student at Towson studying English,
Nice.
and I like cats. That's it.
Cats.
Yes.
Really? Cats are weird to me.
That's fair. I used to be afraid of cats, but then we got cats when I was a sophomore in high school, and then, it was just up from there.
Okay.
So,
All right. Cool.
I,
Cats.
I like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a
I like
step up.
fish. Maybe. I don't even like fish that much anymore.
Jeez. Not
Fish
even
are
fish.
cool.
You still have to clean the tank.
Yes, you do have.
Yeah, I don't.
That is one thing about cats. That's why it's like it's weird because they can barely be a pet. You don't really have to see them. You just gotta put their stuff out and clean out the litter box.
Cats aren't as independent as people think they are.
Really?
They are very clingy. Like, if your cat loves you, they will follow you around the house
I've never met
all
a
the
clean
time.
cat.
Like, my cat, she follows me everywhere.
Wow.
If she's not on my bed, she's under it. She's somewhere near me.
Maybe they know I don't like them that much and they're just not clingy with me. I don't get it. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. That is interesting. So, thanks, Kayla. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And she said we can leave, so she's going to run the whole thing by herself. So, you ready, Moya? I am joking. I am joking. But y'all know how we need to start these episodes out. We got to do a recap, and who do we have to do the recap? But Miss Moyo herself in the Alright So Boom segment. Hey, Miss Moyo.
All right. So, chapter 21, we have the Lord coming to Sarah and visiting her to fulfill the promise. So she conceives, she gives birth to the son Isaac. And Isaac means laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And Abraham is 100. Sarah, I believe, is 90, right?
Yeah.
They don't say her age, but before she was 10 years younger. So she's 90. She basically has this whole monologue about how she was able to have a child at this age with her husband who was also old, and how people are going to laugh at her. But now it seems more like a laughter of joy than of sorrow or like disbelief, as we saw before, because she previously was just concerned, like, how is this going to happen? And now it's happened. Isaac is finally weaned.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham wants to throw a party for his son who is weaned. And during the feast, Ishmael is taunting and kind of like being a little disrespectful to Isaac, and Sarah is not having it. She is like, get that boy and his mama out of here immediately. So Abraham is sad about it because that's, of course, his son.
Right.
But God tells him Isaac is the one that the promise Isaac is the one who's going to fulfill the promise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be sad over them. Ishmael will also be a great nation. I'll also make him great.
Yep.
Do as your wife is saying and let them go. So he gives them food, a little food and a little water, and sends them off. As they're going, they're just wandering. They don't really have a place to go. Some commentaries said that she was trying to head back to Egypt because that's where she's from. Yeah. But as they're wandering, they run out of food, they run out of water, and she basically feels like they're gonna die. So she puts her son Ishmael under a bush, and then she just leaves him there and goes far away because she doesn't want to see her son die. But she is lamenting over him. And then angel, did God or angel? She's visited again and basically told that God has heard the voice of your son Ishmael. Mm-hmm. You all are going to be okay. He's going to be a great nation. The same thing that she was told when she left before. And then at that moment, her eyes are open and she sees a well of water. She gets water, gives her son. And then Ishmael, he grows up. He becomes good with the bow and arrow.
Yep.
His mother gives him a wife from the people of Egypt. And it seems like they're going to be okay. Minus the fact that we know he's going to people are always going to be against him in some way because we heard that previously. Yep. But for right now, they're alive, they're well. Mm-hmm. We then go back to Abraham, who is talking to Abimelech. Abimelech is trying to set up a deal because he sees that God is with Abraham and everything that's happening. Right. And he says, hey, we should be cool. Like, you have my back, I have your back. Let's lock that in. Yep. And Abraham is like, okay, that's fine. But your people try to take one of my wells that I dug. Yep. And Abimelech is like, I was not aware. I was not aware of this. Like, you're just telling me now. Right. This doesn't even have to be a problem. And Abraham gives him 7 Yule lambs as just a way to say, this is my property. Right. And it kind of just settles there. And they make a covenant. Mm-hmm. And they call that place Beersheba, which means well of oath, something like that. Something like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much how it ends. Yeah. He plants a tree there, the tamarisk tree, and we talked about how that tree is an invasive tree and can grow in any kind of weather or climate. So it's just interesting that was placed there as well, because Beersheba becomes a very important place in the life of Abraham and others in his lineage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. As
I don't
always.
think that was 3 minutes, but hopefully the reel will be fine.
I was wondering that too. I was like,
I know.
But hey, it's all good.
It was a lot in there.
It's a lot. I forgot how much was actually in there. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. So he gets born and weaned and all that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. The Abimelech episode.
It's in there too.
Mm-hmm. And the kicking out. She got kicked out of Hagar. Yeah. So awesome. Thank you as always. So we're in Genesis chapter 22.
22, yes.
Y'all ready to jump in? Anything else to touch on? I think one thing I want to say before we get started. We've been going through, and we started this way back in Genesis chapter 12, right? Mm-hmm. We've been going through, we've seen ups and downs with Abram sort of seemingly growing. And I think that this is the pivotal moment that we've been sort of building up to.
Chapter 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as we go through it, let's try and keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. So I am supposed to start reading Let me open it up. Get to Genesis chapter 22, and I will read Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 4. And they read as follows. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took two of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. And he cut the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. All right. So I think one of the first things that strikes me is after these things. So they're all right, so boom. And then it's almost like it goes back even to me, I think it's meant to encompass the all right, so boom. So chapter 21, definitely. But it's like if you're thinking of it as a culmination or like the pinnacle of something, I think it's like after all of these other things in his life has happened. Because as we read through this, I think we'll see a lot of references to things that have happened before, right?
Yeah.
The calling and just all of the different activities that Abraham has had to deal with. So that's the first thing that stood out to me. I think the next thing is, what do y'all think about this test? When God says, when the narrator said, after these things, God tested Abraham, what comes to mind? What are you thinking about?
Like a test of his faith.
Of his faith? Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this in the All Right So Boom segment, but Abraham circumcised Isaac, which means that he's a part of those that should be in the covenant, right?
Yes. Yep.
And now he's being tested to take this son, and they kind of emphasize only son. We know he has another son, but we know that this is the promised son.
Right.
So take him, and also who you love. And we haven't even talked about love before.
No.
There has been no mention of love since until now, and it's between him and his son. And it's just like the relationship there we know it's tight. Like,
Yes.
we know that this is a real sacrifice. It's not, if they said sacrifice Sarah, he might be all right with it. The way he's been treating her. But I think with Isaac, we know how long he's waited for him. And we know that this is something that he believed God for. And so it's just a different level of faith that you have to go through with it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because what we recognize when we see that test is that it's not God is looking to bring something out of Abraham. And so he's going to put him through some difficulty, some fire, some test, some trial, not to get him to fail, but to see him come through on the other side with something. And I think we'll see what that something is later.
And I made a note basically saying, because I think previously we talked about, like, are things for us, for the people in the text, or for like us? Because we've doubted Abraham a lot.
Yes.
We've said, are we sure that his faith is real? Is he being obedient because of faith, or is he being obedient because he wants to see what's going to happen, type of thing?
Right.
And for God to be like, we're testing him, is it even for Abraham? He knows Abraham's heart. He already has counted him as righteous.
Yes.
So is it for us then that are reading now to say, this is him being tested and this is the outcome?
Doing my dance over here. Get it down. I agree. Yes. I ain't got to say nothing else. Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Kayla, when it talks about all of these things that focus in on Isaac, right? Like, what are the things that it says about him?
I feel like it just places an emphasis on how important he is, not just in general, but to Abraham.
Right.
Um, I think his response is kind of what struck me
Oh, yeah?
more.
What?
Like, he was just like, here I am. And not just like to me, here I am is like willing to serve. Like, Lord, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't like pushback, like, "Oh Lord, I'm doing something." He
Yeah.
was just like, "Lord, here I am. Like you
Right.
call, I answer. I'm here. I'm ready. What do you need
Right.
from me?"
Yeah. And at that point, Abraham, I don't think knew what he was going to be asked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's just the Lord, and they have a relationship, right? The Lord
Mhm.
talks to Abraham, so Abraham's just like, "Here I am."
Yeah.
When I hear that, I think the Hebrew for it is like Hineni or something like that.
Mhm.
And when you get to the New Testament, they say that Mary said the same type of thing, just like you were saying, like, "Okay, here I am. I'm available.
Mhm.
I'm ready to be used," type of thing,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Which is interesting. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we know he's testing him. We know he's going to test him with Isaac. What does the Lord say that he wants Abraham to do with Isaac? I said it right that time. I just said I didn't say Isaac. Let me go back. What did Abraham do? Or what did the Lord tell Abraham to do with Isaac?
So
To
you wanna
sacrifice him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a burnt offering,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
And when I was reading about that, they said that you kill the thing first. So you're not burning it alive,
right.
Mhm.
but you're killing it and burning it, which makes more sense for later because I didn't really understand that before,
Hmm.
that he had to first kill his son.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think to me, the bigger thing is when you're doing a burnt offering, what are you expecting in return from that? I mean, like, do you get any of what you offered back?
No.
I I think it's more so for the Lord
It's
because when it talks about it, I think it's in Deuteronomy
somewhere in there, I'm sure.
where it really talks about like the burnt offerings. It was like after they had burnt it, the smell of it, the aroma
Hmm.
was pleasing
Yeah.
to the
Right.
Lord.
Right.
Yeah.
And the idea is that it's completely consumed. Is that
Yeah.
what you got,
Yeah.
Moya?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just think, highlights the one you love, the son that you have. I want you to offer him as a burnt offering. He is going to be completely consumed by what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let that sit. Let it just marinate. I don't know if you all read anything, but I read a lot of stuff where it talked about like child sacrifices and stuff, and that stuff is big during that time.
Mhm.
And some people will try and say, like, is the Lord sanctioning child sacrifice? And to that, I say the end sort of justify the means. You know what I mean? Like, there was a test that was being performed, but I don't think that there was any way that the Lord would have let it go to that completion step, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think need to say that here, even though it sort of gives away the end, just because you don't want to make it seem like the Lord is being duplicitous. Like here, it's fine, but elsewhere it isn't, because He does have a sanction against anyone in Israel offering children as sacrifice, like other nations do.
Yeah.
So that's dead. All of that. The Lord's not being duplicitous here. It is a test, and I think the other point, and this just struck me, for it to be a really valid test and what the Lord is looking for, it's got to be something that, if lost, will have a big impact on Abraham,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because when you think of all of the everything leading up to this, right? So, Moria, when you think of all of the promises and things that were made, they sort of hinge on Isaac,
Isaac.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were just told in 21 that the promise is through him. And
Right.
I think also in 20,
Mm-hmm.
but when he's like sad about Ishmael, it's emphasized that no, it's not going to be through Ishmael. It's going
Right.
to be through Isaac.
Right.
And it's not saying anymore your descendants or your son or your whatever. It's
Exactly.
Isaac
It's Isaac.
specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. I read something. It's almost like he'd be losing two sons if this went all the way through.
Mm.
Because now he's lost Ishmael because he sent him away.
Mhm.
And then Isaac, the seed, the chosen one. Right. As far as Abraham knows right now, I guess we have to look at this as we go through, right? Um, because what does Abraham really believe as he's going through this? And so he'll say things and do things. And so as we're going through it, just we may come back to to that point. All right. So um, Abraham gets a couple of commands. What is Abraham told to do?
To take Isaac and offer him as a burnt offering
Mm-hmm.
in the land of Moriah, which I thought it was interesting because Moriah is in Jerusalem,
Yeah, I
I
think it's
believe.
close to there. Well, it's weird. There's a mount, I thought, and then this land of, and so there's questions about whether they're one and the same or
Mhm.
not. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure if
I
a lot of.
wasn't like
Go ahead. Sorry.
really clear on that,
Yeah,
but it sounded like it was somewhere in Jerusalem.
yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think there's still some questions about where it is exactly, although
Mhm.
they think it's somewhere near Jerusalem.
Yeah. And for me, I was more thinking about how far away it was from where he was
Yeah,
because it took 3
took
days.
3 days to get
Yeah,
there.
That's a lot of time to think to.
I,
it is.
you know, I'm just saying, like, you got 3 days to stew, to stew over
Yeah.
what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Me, I'm like, if I'm anxious, all right, get it done, get it over with. If there's a big meeting or something and I got to talk, I'm like, all right, hurry up, let's get to my part so I can do what I got to do. So once I start talking, all the anxiety will go away.
Mhm.
But let's get it.
Yeah.
And he's waiting 3 days.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But what does that tell us about Abraham's steadfastness, though? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the more time that's elapsed, the more time there is for him to have a change of
Mhm.
mind and just be like, no, I'm just going to run.
Yeah.
Because there's no mistaking in what he's being asked to do. So he tells him to go, tells him to offer up his son, to take, to go, and then to offer up his son. Um, Abraham rises. Have you all? Do you all think that the way the narrator is putting this is like it's not like he got up and got all the stuff that he needed for the burnt offering and go. He got up, he got the wood, he loaded the donkey, he got the two lads to come with him. Then he took Isaac. It's like excruciatingly detailed.
Mm.
Is that me, or do you all think the same thing?
I find it intentional.
Uh-huh.
I think to even point out the fact that he got up early in the morning,
Yes.
like to me, it just screams like he was ready, he was willing, because
Mhm.
it's like he could have went at any time. And me, I'm not a very big morning person, but I don't know. I just feel like it's something interesting about how descriptive they were about the situation because it was like it's to me it doesn't feel like oh we're going through like a get ready with me with Abraham but more so like it's walking us through it as if like I feel like there's a lot of visual imagery here. Like I feel like the diction being used is very like intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And that's something else as we're going through this. I think we should watch because I think the author is doing that for a specific reason.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the
A-
narrator is.
And Abraham is again very hands on in what he's doing
Yeah.
because we talked about that when he was serving
Yep.
the Lord and the two angels.
Yep.
He went and did these things when you would expect maybe one of his servants or someone to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the two men, but then it says he cut the wood.
Yeah.
So he
Mhm.
got them, but he did the work. He
Yeah.
saddled the donkey. He
Yeah.
did all of the things.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. All right. And then you mentioned the 3 days. And then there's this term, he lifted up his eyes and saw the place.
yeah.
Woo. That's only 4 verses, y'all.
Yeah.
Got a ways to go. Anything else we need to touch on in these couple?
Nah, I think we're good.
Nope. All right. Next up.
Okay. Uh then Abraham said to his young men, "Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you." And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So they went both of them together. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, "My father." And he said, "Here I am, my son." He said, "Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" Abraham said, "God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." So they went, both of them together. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son.
Wow. All right. So they finally make it to the place.
Yeah.
What happens once they get there?
He's preparing to sacrifice Isaac. I think there's a lot to unpack here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like something that struck out to me when I first read this was verse 5 when he tells them, he says, "Then Abraham said to his young men, 'Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you.'" So right there you can already see the faith that Abraham has in God, because he tells them that they're both going to come back.
Yeah.
So it's like Abraham already has like this idea that maybe not that God isn't going to let my son die, but that in a way, I guess, in lack of better words, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Abraham has faith in that moment. Like he's not lying to them, like, "Oh yeah, like even though I'm gonna go sacrifice my son, we gonna come back." Um, uh, but then he also says he's gonna go over there to worship, which I thought was interesting that he didn't tell the men that he was. I mean, yeah, he didn't tell the men that he was gonna go sacrifice
Yeah.
Isaac. I think that in itself, like I feel like Abraham wasn't omitting information. Like I feel like it was more so of his faith.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like Isaac asking him, his response again, "Here I am." Like
Yep.
he's willing, even just like as a father to Isaac. And me, if I was Isaac, I would be asking a ton of questions. Like we like what's going on?
Yo,
Like
I've
we
seen
got
this
the
happen before,
wood.
Dad. There's some smell fishy here. What's going on?
So it's like not only is it demonstrating Abraham's faith in God, but it's demonstrating Isaac's faith in his father, which I
Mm,
thought was interesting.
yeah. Okay.
Like, "Dad, I trust you. Like, okay, you said we're gonna go do this. No more questions asked."
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of faith. As a kid, I would be asking a lot of questions.
And that's the only thing that we get recorded from Isaac. So that is uh that is interesting. You got anything that you wanted to mention about these verses, Maya?
I don't even know where to start.
From the beginning.
I think, well, okay, so I did go to Hebrews where they talk about Abraham's
Yes.
faith, right?
Yep.
And it says there that he believed God would raise him from the dead.
Yeah.
So when he's saying we're going to be back, he means that. Like he means I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but me and my son are coming back.
Right.
Um
You mind if I read those verses real
yeah, go
quick?
ahead.
Hebrews 11, verses 17 to 19. By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises, was in the act of offering up his only son, of whom it was said, "Through Isaac shall your offspring be named." He considered that God was able even to raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back.
So the next part I would talk about is the comparison between him putting the wood on Isaac
Mm-hmm.
versus putting the food and the water on Hagar.
Okay.
So I don't really know what the contrast is specifically, but it just stood out to me that
Yeah.
when we talked about Ishmael, we were like, oh, he should be old enough to, carry the water and the food.
Yep.
So how old do we think Isaac is here? We don't get a specific age, but old enough to carry wood
Yeah, he's
up,
definitely old enough.
up a
Right.
mountain.
Yep. Yeah.
So also old enough to, when he binds him, understand that, oh wait, I'm the one being
Yeah.
sacrificed.
Oh,
like
wait,
it's
hold
not
up.
like a kid. Like maybe I could tie up one of my kids and put them on the altar, and they might not register what's happening. But
No.
it seems that Isaac might be old enough to understand. Even the fact that he asked,
Yeah.
Mhm.
"Where's the burnt offering?"
Yeah.
He's already concerned that we're missing some
Yeah.
things.
It strikes me as he's seen this.
Yeah,
He knows how this goes. And
Mhm.
just like Kayla brought up, something's missing. Something's not right here.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know when Isaac asks, where's the lamb, and he says he'll provide for himself
Mhm.
the lamb. Are we comparing that to Jesus?
That's what I thought.
I think there's a number of comparisons that you can make here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when I initially thought of um, the wood being put on Isaac, I didn't think of Hagar and Ismael
Thought of
initially.
Jesus and the
I thought of
cross.
Jesus and the fact that he
Mm.
carried his own
Yeah.
cross. Um, Now, I think that there is a parallel in the fact that there was stuff put on Hagar to carry, right, as she was being sent out. Um, just because I think what the author is doing, and you see a number of places for that cohesion, is making sure that you understand that all of this is part of the bigger narrative, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
22 is not standing in complete isolation from 21, right? Even though 21 closes us off nicely so that you can get to this pinnacle event, but it's still one narrative from one person, and you're seeing the cohesion between 22 and what happened in 21 with the waking up early the next day and all of these things happening.
Yeah.
But I also think that this is, in this case, that Isaac is a type of Christ, is a type of Jesus,
Mm.
right?
That was the first thing I thought about when I read through here. Like, even just in verse 2, like,
Hmm.
your only son whom you love. I thought
Hmm.
about Jesus. Then it taken 3 days. I thought about
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Then the two men in the saddle and the
Oh
donkey. I
yeah.
thought about I think
The-
it's technically called the Holy Triumphant when Jesus comes into Jerusalem on the donkey.
oh, when you're thinking of like
Palm
Palm
Sunday.
Sunday,
Yeah.
Yeah, like he sent two disciples to go and get the
true,
donkey.
to get the
Yeah. And I
donkey
was
from
thinking
him.
more to the two on the
I
cross.
was
That's what I
thinking
was
the two
thinking
on the
about when you said that
cross.
initially. Yeah.
Like this whole time that we're reading it, I just thought about Jesus. And
Mhm.
then the lamb, I thought about Jesus. Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of just basically like a foreshadow to Jesus'
Mhm.
crucifixion.
Yeah. I just a type of Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even to the point where the father, where Abraham says the Lord will provide a lamb. I'm
Hmm.
paraphrasing. He ultimately does
Yep.
in
Yeah.
Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot that's in here, and again, I think we see that there's this detail, there's this painstaking, if that's the right word. Like who? All right, who who doesn't get a little emotional when you can imagine Abraham and his son walking up, and the son looks up to his dad like, "Father, yes, my son, here I am. Where's the lamb?" I mean, like, bruh, you about to be the lamb. What is going on here? How am
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
Why am I tearing up right now? Type of
Yeah.
thing, right? There's just this, and I think that the whole passage is meant to try and get that type of sentiment out of you. This
Mhm.
whole emotional aspect out of it. That's why I think there's so much detail in the way things are done, even to the point where it starts to talk about um how what he's doing with the setup, right? Because it talks about it and he says, looked up, behold, oh no, not there yet. Oops, not to 23 either. But he laid it and took in his hand and took his hand and the fire. So you got everything in verse 6. They went up, asked the question, in verse 9, when they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham, listen, he built the altar there. One, he laid the wood in order. Two, he bound Isaac, his son. Three, he laid him on the altar. Okay, he laid on top of the wood. But what's up with all the detail? It's like it's like this thing that the way I'm picturing it, and you all let me know if I'm reading too much into it or not. But it's like whenever you have to do something, it's like you remember every single thing that happens
Mhm.
and you sort of see, and it's almost like it's happening in slow motion when I read it. Some to me.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know if you all pick up the same thing, but I think that's what the author wants us to see. All of this detail, all of this painstaking activity that needs to happen, with ultimately Abraham having to do to this one that he loves something that's going means he's going to be completely consumed.
Mhm.
And Abraham, to this point, is there any doubt he's going to carry it out?
No.
Right? I mean, there's nothing that indicates to you that somehow he's thinking that I'm going to need to stop this.
Mhm.
Even to the point where he takes a knife. And I think that when it says he takes the knife, I think the knife is above his head,
Mhm.
ready to come down once we get to the end of chapter 10.
Yeah.
So this is a very tense segment here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think what's also interesting is that okay, like up until this point, there's all of this detail, but there's no mentioning of, like you said, like some sort of like extreme like emotion from Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
There's no mention of Isaac resisting, which I find
Right?
very interesting. It's kind of just like because he trusts his father, maybe Isaac too in this moment also has faith in the Lord because of his faith in his father. Like, I know if I was Isaac, I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't, there's no mentioning
Yeah.
of him resisting, him
No,
questioning
there
from
isn't.
either one of them. Like, no
Yeah.
questioning, just, okay, Lord, I'm doing what you're asking me to do.
Yeah. The only reason I would stop short of putting a lot on Isaac is because this starts out with the narrator saying that the Lord is testing Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is something that Abraham is going through. I'm not saying Isaac didn't do
Mm-hmm.
any of those. That somehow Isaac he was just like, yo, I'm going with it. But
Yeah.
it was really about Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it when remember when we did Joseph, I don't know if you watched that, but when we did Joseph, we kept saying, how come Joseph didn't resist? How come Joseph
Mm-hmm.
didn't cry for help? How come and then there was a whole segment where they said, and remember when I was in the
Yes.
pit and I cried for help to you all and you all just continue to eat. Like it was just like it's not in there because maybe it wasn't relevant
Right.
because again, like he's saying, it's to test
Abraham.
Abraham, but it it's one of those, let's write it down, God. We
Mm-hmm.
need answers when we get
Yeah,
to
because I
heaven.
kind of like put that in my margins. Like maybe it was just intentional because of the fact that it's about Abraham and not about Isaac.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean
I just thought it was interesting.
that is an option, right? So yeah. We can't what we don't want to do, and I think this is your point, Mike. We don't want to try and include information where it isn't
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
But it does seem to make sense that there may have been more discussion going on
Mm-hmm.
than is recorded. But I also think it's recorded this way to sort of show the angst and the anxiety that's going on
And I think we
as well.
feel it ourselves. Like, do we need to know? Like you said, you hear it and you're like already imagining what that would be like if you had a kid
Yeah.
and you had to do it.
Right.
So it being added may not add anything because we're already
Mm-hmm.
feeling it
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is tense. This is tense. All right. So anything else we need to touch on with those couple verses?
Nope.
Not that I can think of.
All right.
All right. Next up.
Genesis chapter 22, verses 11 to 14. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God,
Mm,
seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from
mm,
me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord will provide." As it is said to this day, "On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided."
Wow. So you do all the build up. Abraham's got the knife above his head, ready to do all the burnt offering stuff. And what do we hear? Has anybody been so glad to hear the word but before? Like but's an eraser word, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Mhm.
it's an adversative, meaning that whenever, and I do this, and I try not to. My wife gets on me all the time. I know you said on this and that and this, but and I'd be like, I shouldn't say but, I should say and, because I heard what you said, and I want to add this to it. But when you say but, it can be taken as an eraser word. It is an eraser word.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't been so happy to see. There's only one other place that I've been happy to see an eraser word, and that's in is it Ephesians chapter 2? We were dead in our trespasses and sins, and you read down and it says, "But God,
Mhm.
Mhm.
being rich in mercy." That makes me happy. This makes me as happy as that to see
Yeah.
this word "but" here. How do y'all feel about it? I'm gonna be quiet.
I think it's interesting because I feel like depending on like how you read, like when I was reading it, I just saw the but and I was like, but
So
it
I'm going
was
overboard. Is that what you're
no,
trying to tell
no,
me?
no. I thought it was interesting to point that out because it was like, I don't know, maybe like when I was reading it, it was like I had faith too.
Okay.
Like I had faith that it wasn't gonna happen.
You
But not saying that you don't have faith because of that. Don't
so
hear what I'm saying and not what I'm
I'm gonna
not
be
saying.
honest. When I first got saved and started reading, I didn't know this story. I was like, oh my goodness, he about to kill his son. All the way up until verse 11 and that word but. So maybe that's why it sticks out to me. Because I can still recall the first time I looked at this and was like, wow, he's really about to do this.
Like I
Yeah.
knew of it, but like when I first got saved, I knew of it, but it wasn't like I knew all of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you.
But I I think it is interesting. I feel like overall, like the Bible's really intentional about like using words like that, like
Mhm.
but or therefore
Right.
or like yeah.
Yeah. Am I reading too much into it, Maya?
No, I think that's a
You
really
think it's
good.
good?
I
Maya?
I think that the difference, and this is probably a good thing, and we've talked about like the different places we are, because I, similar to my children, we started with all of these stories as I don't even remember a time of not knowing this story. So it's hard for
Okay.
me to even think that it's going to
Mhm.
happen. I'm like, I already know it's not going to happen.
Right.
So it's but I think as I'm older and I have kids now, it's a different viewpoint as what I would have had before, because now I'm like, oh, wow, I couldn't have imagined what it would be like to potentially sacrifice a son
Mhm.
before.
Right. Yeah.
It was just a
Good point.
story to me.
Right.
But now it's like, wait, I got kids. Would
Right.
I ever even think? Would I even, if God told me that, and I think I've said this a lot, like
But
I need
yeah.
concrete evidence. But and for Abraham, he's hearing the voice of the Lord
Mhm.
clearly.
Clearly,
And so
yes.
that's the difference. But I don't like the but doesn't stick out to me because I already know it.
Okay.
So it's difficult sometimes, and maybe that's what we should think about for the next season, like but I don't know if there's any that I feel like I don't know. Like
Mhm.
because we were just
Yeah.
taught all of them
Right.
for a long
Oh, that's
time.
good though. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I'm not knocking that, right?
No,
That's
no.
not that's not my intent. But I think that this is a key turning point and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
shouldn't get lost. Um and for me, just I can when I read it, I just go back to that time when I read it the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't I don't want to knock my parents, but I didn't have these stories when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was growing up. Yeah, of course, I knew Adam and Eve, but
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
remember ever hearing about the binding, the binding of Isaac.
Mhm.
Isaac,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, but that's cool. So maybe I am reading too much into
No, I don't
No,
think you're reading too much into it. I think that we're all in different
yeah.
places, so it makes us see it
it differently.
differently.
Mhm.
And I could read this again in I don't know, 20 years and be like, I see it now. Like, you never know.
Right.
But I think that was part of the point of the podcast is the different
Yes.
viewpoints and the different, not even just generations, but like the places we all started in our faith as well. Because you started as an adult.
Yep.
You kind of started as a young adult.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, I don't even remember not knowing God. Like I always known God.
Yeah.
So it's different for all of us.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Oh man, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right. So Abraham declares his availability again.
Yeah.
You think he was happy to say this? Here I am.
Yeah. He called him twice though. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wait a
Yeah.
minute.
It's like
Because he must have been like, I'm about to do this.
right.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait.
Yep.
Stop.
Yep. Yep. That repetition.
Yeah.
Like I call you twice. You need to pay attention.
Yeah.
And then he gives them exactly what he tells them what not to do.
Mhm.
But then what does the Lord say that he sees? Because I think this is what the test is about.
He sees that he has like a deep reverence for God
Mm-hmm.
and that he wouldn't or like doesn't withhold anything
Right.
from him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I think we can do this. If we were to try to bring that to today, what would that look like? Well, before that, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I think that's
Okay.
what it was.
What does that look like? What does that mean in today's language, in today's parlance? I see now, the Lord says, and I'm paraphrasing. Well, no, why don't I read it? Um, could you, so in 12, he said, do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, one, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, for me. If we were to take that in today's terms, into modern times, what would that look like? If that makes sense. Well, how would that be said?
How would it be said?
Yeah, I mean, like, what does that mean, like, today? It means the same thing then, but I mean, like, if we were to try and bring it up to 2020, this almost 2026. I'm not supposed to say dates and podcasts, but I'm sorry. But if we brought it up to the 2020s,
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is it to fear God? Is that kind of what you're asking?
yeah, like, what does that look like now? Should it look any different?
I don't think it's so. I
And
know
what does
we.
it mean that he didn't withhold even his son? Should that be any different?
Mm, I don't think so. I don't know because it's like I would say like in today's world, even just generalizing it as like surrendering, like if the well, since the Lord knows us, from the crowns of our heads to the soles of our feet,
Mm-hmm.
he knows what in our life is something that we, I guess, cherish or something that we care deeply about.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it might be situational for certain people as to like
Mm-hmm.
what does that thing look like, but I feel like from a more general standpoint it's the same, if that makes sense.
Okay. I think
Like
I can
just the
follow what
act
you're
of
saying.
like surrender.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. I think today it's a little harder because it's easy to say if God asked me for something, I would give it up.
Right.
Mhm.
But I don't know how to say it. We don't have the same clear direction as we've been seeing in the Bible. Like there's sins that we would should give up, right? Those are
Mm-hmm.
sins, but
Mhm.
this is not a sin that he's giving up. This is a person.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if somebody said you need to give your son up for adoption, that's what God wants you to do. I'm gonna be like, what? Like, what are we
Mhm.
talking about? Like, so it's harder in today's
Yeah.
day and
Yeah.
age to try to make it make sense. But I think there are things that we give up, we surrender to God, but it just doesn't feel the same. Like the weight
Mhm.
doesn't feel the
Yeah.
same.
Let me ask this a little different way. When Jesus says, um, and I'm paraphrasing, that you should love me and hate your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers, what is he really getting at there?
That nothing should be above him,
Mhm.
right?
Nothing
So
should be.
if your mother, father, brother, sister are telling you to do something that's contrary to God, you would choose God first,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But that's simple to say. I think all of it is
I
simple
agree.
to say. It's just harder to place it in our day and
Mhm.
age because, well, maybe in my family, maybe other people's family, you can clearly see like this is not, don't follow these people because they're
Mhm.
doing wrong.
Right.
Actually, no, maybe this is not that. Maybe it, okay. When my mom passed,
Mm-hmm.
there is a ritual where you have to shave your head.
Okay.
I debated it for a long time
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, this feels like I'm worshiping another god to me because
Mhm.
I didn't know like what are you gonna do with the hair? Like what's gonna happen? Like so to me, I went back and forth and I talked to my dad about it and he's like, it's just a tradition, just do it. Like we don't know what they're gonna do with it, but we don't worship whatever they're worshiping. Just do whatever they're telling you to
Okay.
do.
Yeah. Clear
But
mind.
it was very hard for me to do it
Yeah.
because I was just like, this feels, it doesn't feel right.
Doesn't sit right. Right.
But I went and listened, I listened to what my dad said and just went ahead and did it. But it was something I was praying about and praying about and praying about. And I didn't get a clear, you should do it or not do it.
Right.
And then I shaved my head and I was just like, I don't feel like I don't believe in God anymore. Like
Yeah.
I just, but it was something that I was battling with.
Yeah.
And some people may say, no, you did the wrong thing. And some
Mhm.
people may say, I think
It's fine.
it's just the tradition. You just do the thing.
Right.
But again, it's not clear because I couldn't go and say, like, God didn't say, do not do this in a voice
Mhm.
that I hear from heaven. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it's harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I think it was a specific scripture that came up about like not shaving your head for the dead and blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. And I was like, I feel like that's specifically talking about this situation.
Mhm.
He's like, wait, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
Well, I understand what your dad was saying because that's the thing of conscience once you get to the New Testament, right? It doesn't mean that you follow these other people. If you
Yeah.
do it and it is just sort of the tradition, then I don't think there's an issue.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And my brothers did it kind of immediately, right? Because they, before we even came back to America, all of them had to shave their heads.
Right.
And they were like, I had just got my hair done. I'm like, what? Shave my head is
Doing
crazy.
too much.
Like, why would I shave my head?
Right.
And they were just like, you have, like, I think they gave me a certain amount of months to do it
To do
or
it.
not do it.
Oh wow.
And so I just spent those months trying to figure
Figure it
out
out.
what should I do. And then eventually my dad just was like,
Okay.
okay, if you're doing it, let's do it.
Cool. Wow, that's interesting. I always appreciate you sharing like cultural things with us. Again, don't think that's lost on me. I appreciate that type of stuff. Yeah. So, and I think what I was trying to get at, we talked really around, right? I think that the one thing is that there should be a healthy fear of the Lord,
Mhm.
Mhm.
of reverence. And I don't know if I've said it on this podcast before, but I've said before, like fear of the Lord to me is like being at the Grand Canyon because there's this awe of the Grand Canyon. I want to go.
Mhm.
I'm going to the Grand Canyon one day. I want to go. It's the biggest hole in the United States, and there's this awe of seeing it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But I also know that if somebody were to come up behind me and push me, that would be a bad state to be in,
Yeah.
right? So there's that fear that I think the and I think that's what the test was about. It was about seeing your reverence, your fear, your awe of God. I think that's
Mhm.
what the test was about. And I think I also read whenever God tests folks, when you go back and read it, it's really about understanding that they fear him.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that's interesting is that he says, you did not withhold your son from me, which means that, and we touched on it, that you hold me in a higher esteem than you do anything else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's why they made a big point of pointing out your only
Mhm.
son Isaac, the one that you love. Who
Yeah.
do you hold in a higher esteem right now? Ishmael's gone. He's not going to be part of it. The only one you have is Isaac.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to weigh that against the promise that I gave you, knowing that, again, we talked about this whole covenant thing. He made a covenant. God God said all the I will statements. I said, I've made these promises to you. I called you. I'm the one who made the covenant and walked through the cut animals.
Yeah.
Do you hold me in esteem, understanding that I am going to carry out this promise? Or do you hold more esteem what you have in your hand that I can't do anything with that?
Yeah.
Or have something come out of that would still get to the point of you having and possessing the promise. And I think that's why in Hebrews, and I think that's why in James, it talks back to that and it talks back to Abraham believing because he knew somehow, we already said it, that it would come back
Yeah.
somehow, some way. But it's weird because at the same token, not weird, at the same token, and I think this was a good point we made, that Abraham wasn't half stepping with this either.
Yeah.
This was a full out, he was getting ready to do the deed. Boom.
Yeah.
He got up early.
Got up early in the morning. Made me early in the morning. So I gotta get up.
I don't know that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, Kayla fitting right in. Sorry, I don't know that one, Pops. You on your own. Oh man. Um, let's see. Anything else there? There was a lot. Um, I don't know if we did it justice. The the ram in the bush. You think it was there all along?
No.
Don't think so?
No. And maybe that's another comparison to Hagar seeing that well.
Yes.
Because we're like, if it was water, why ain't you
Why
drink
you didn't see
it?
it?
But yeah, if it was there, I feel like he would have known.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think that's a miracle
Yeah.
that the Lord did. So he gives him, and then instead of Isaac being offered, the animal is offered. So there's an animal sacrifice and that's given instead. Um, and what about the name?
The Lord will
The
provide.
Lord will provide.
Mm.
Jehovah Jireh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. That's cool. So anything else on those three verses? Four verses, excuse me.
No.
Not that
Pardon
I
me
can
as I
think
keep
of.
having to adjust my microphone stand. All right. So anything else with 11 to 14 that you all picked
No.
up on?
Not that I could think of.
Okay. All right. Next up, Genesis chapter 22, verses 15 to 19. Miss Kayla?
Okie doke. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies, and in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham lived at Beersheba.
All right. So we get the sort of reprise of the Lord, the angel of the Lord, talking to Abraham a second time. So this should really carry us back to Genesis 12, right? Do you
Yeah.
see that? With some additions.
Yeah. But I was wondering if this is a lack of the correct English words to describe what's happening.
Meaning,
He swears by himself, but then it's saying because you did this. Because doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't seem like because he already God has already sworn by himself. He doesn't need the clause. Similar to when we were talking about the circumcision. You're not getting it because you all are circumcised or because you did this. You're getting it because I said you are. And already I've already promised it and made a covenant by myself that you would be the one to take this on.
Yeah.
So then, but I don't know what word we would use. So that's why I'm like, is it because we don't have, is it because we don't have the right word? Or is it God is all knowing and knows that you would do all these things and does the promise? But that again doesn't feel, it just feels too loose for God.
Mm,
All right, okay, that's for you. We got that set that all up for you.
All right. So
She
I
jump right
had
in. I
to
like this. Go ahead, girl.
I had to look up declaration just to see like the textbook definition. So it says a formal or explicit statement or announcement, the formal announcement of the beginning of a state or a condition. So like I'm gonna agree with Moyo and say I think it might be just a lack of like words. But I think um when I first read through it,
Mhm.
I thought he was just reiterating it,
Right.
but also like explaining that like the condition of the like the blessing that Abraham would be receiving. So like because you have done this thing and have not withheld your only son, I will indeed bless you
Hmm.
and make your offspring as numerous as the stars of the sky and the sand
Right.
on the seashore. So it's like, yeah, like God was already gonna do it, but maybe there was like some meaning behind reiterating it for a second time. And maybe it wasn't for like how Moya was saying, like, is it for them or is it for us? Like maybe the reiteration is for the readers, the audience, like because your faith has produced good works, you inherit this blessing.
And that would be hard because works, we don't get anything by works.
Right.
Exactly.
It's through faith.
Yeah.
And
And the promise was made before any other covenant or any other test was done. The promise was
Mhm.
made.
yeah.
And I don't want to say harp, but we harped on the fact that God made the promise and was going to
Yes.
keep the promise and was not going to break the promise. So no
Mhm.
matter what Abraham does, which we saw him kind of mess up a couple of times after the
Mhm.
covenant,
Yep.
and it's like, but he's still the one that's going to
That's
get the
going to get it.
thing.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna tell y'all where I am with this. This has been another one of those growth areas for Chris
Okay.
because I struggle with the same thing. It seems like it one of the two things stand out to me here. By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord. By myself I have sworn.
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen? I think that it happened at the call. I think that God really doesn't even have to say that. That the
Mhm.
Lord doesn't have to say, by myself I have sworn. Because when the Lord makes a promise, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he's not a God that he should lie. It's in his character to
Mhm.
do what he says he's going to do. And what he says is going to do is always going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
So when he says that, it's almost like, okay, when? And yeah, we know this. Why do you have to say that? I think it's as you were saying, Kayla, it's for Abraham and it's for us who are going to read it periods later. And the reason I go back to 12 in terms of by myself I have sworn is because, and I've struggled with this as we've gone through, because in chapter 12, we get the call. In chapter 15, we get this call again. In chapter 17, we get the call with the sign. So you have to do something. And I also think in chapter 17, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where he says, walk blameless before me and something of that nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, is this, Lord, because you're going to carry it out, but you have stipulations? But then why do you say that you're going to do it? Because it still go back to the covenant. And if there are two parties that are responsible for this covenant being kept, both of them have to walk through.
Mhm.
Only the Lord goes through. And I think what I've come to is that if you are going to be the Lord's people, there is an expectation on you. Just like he says, to be blameless. Be holy, for I am holy. Right? There's an expectation that you are going to esteem him, fear him. There's an expectation that you are going to walk in his statutes. There's an expectation that you are going to have no one else before him. That doesn't change.
Mhm.
It didn't change for Moses. It doesn't change for us. So it didn't change for Noah or anybody. So to
Mhm.
think that you're going to be in the presence of the Lord, walking with the Lord, be the recipient of His promise, and not behave in a way that the Lord expects you to behave, I think is a little discongruous, if that makes sense. Like those two things can't fit together.
Mhm.
So that's how I'm starting to make sense of the fact that, yeah, the Lord promised, but there's still some things that are expectations for those people who are going to be of the Lord. Because the Lord is making a people for himself.
Mm.
And he is saying, Abraham, you're the start of that. Abraham's righteousness is because he believes in what the Lord is telling him,
Mhm.
which causes him to behave in the way that he does. So I think it's a progressive revelation for Abraham and for us because just like you was mentioned, Abraham sort of fell a couple of times. We're going to fall a couple of times. And the Lord is constantly saying, look, I'm here. I'm making you this promise, even that I called you out of Ur. I'm reiterating it in chapter 15. I'm reiterating it in chapter 17. I'm reiterating it in chapter 22. In chapter 22, you have shown that you actually believe, just like you talked about in 15:6. He believed in God, and that was his righteousness, that you have believed me. The world knows it now. The world knows what it really means. The world knows that it's really about fear of the Lord and about about holding him with such high esteem. That's what we're getting to. And so I think that I struggle with this call, covenant, covenant call. And I think that the covenant starts all the way back in chapter 12 and it just gets progressively reiterated with more and more on the line, more and more showing what it takes to be a follower of God.
Mhm.
Mm.
I don't know. That's where I am right now, and it's a hard thing because it seems like there's stipulations on it because you need to be this way, you need to be blameless, you need to do a sign. Well, the Lord is going to hold you to that standard anyway.
Mhm.
That's nothing. That's nothing crazy. If I'm going to be in Jesus Christ, then there is an idea that Jesus says the greatest commandment is love, so I am to love. Peter in his epistle talks about the Lord calling for his people to be holy because he is holy.
Mm.
Doesn't change.
Mhm. That's good.
So that's where I am, and I appreciate. That's why I like you all going through this and hanging out with me, because these are the types of things that I get to wrestle with, and I don't know how the Lord does it, but sometimes by the time we get close to the end, it's sort of cemented in my head what the thought process is that gets me from point A to point B.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's where I am. Uh, y'all know I talk a long time. I
I'm
apologize,
a
but
yapper too, so it's okay.
thank you. I had to get that out because that's sort of my progression in how I'm thinking of things. And I don't know, does that make sense to you all or?
Yeah.
it it makes sense. I think English is just
Oh,
weird.
I
Tell me
agree.
about it.
I agree because English is not the perfect receptor language for these ancient Near East, Koine Greek. It's not perfect, so there's going to be some things. Um, I wish I have read this in a whole bunch of different translations.
Mm.
I don't remember what I know I did. I don't remember what the other words were in that section though. But maybe that's something to do with see how other translations actually
Mhm.
translated it as
Yeah.
well. So I don't know. That's where I am with this whole thing. Anything else there we want to touch on?
I like how the blessing is eternal.
Yeah.
I think that just speaks volumes as well because it's like maybe like some new believers or people that want to get to know Christ, like some people might have like a preconceived notion that like if I do this, the blessing will be this. And I feel like in today's world it's maybe like a little hard because it's like I feel like some blessings might be more viewed as something that is tangible
Mm-hmm.
versus like how like in I think it's Matthew 6, like we should store up for ourselves treasures in
In heaven.
heaven. I think that's just a good testament to that is that like not all gifts are like it's eternal. Like
Yeah.
and it's not even a gift that Abraham receives in that instant. It's something that is to come, which I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
is good too.
And I think in Hebrews it talks about that seeing it was far off.
Mhm.
He had faith that it would
Yeah.
come to be, just as the Lord had talked about.
Like
Mm.
something that God might promise you might not come in this lifetime, but it might be for your generations to come. So
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Anything else, Moyo, that you wanted to touch on?
No, I'm
Okay.
good.
Cool. All right. Genesis chapter 22, verses 20 to 24. Now, after these things, it was told to Abraham, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn, Buz, or Buz, his brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These eight Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Moreover, his concubine, whose name was Reumah, bore Tebah, Gehem, Tahash, and Maacah. Boom. Say that 5 times fast. So we get now some other lineage. And we know, right, Moyo, whenever we see the next lineage being brought into the picture, there's some tie-in that may happen later
Yeah.
that makes these folks important. So they're getting introduced to us now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I don't know that there's much else there aside from the fact that we see Abraham's relatives
Mhm.
Yeah.
and Isaac's relatives, and we'll see how that plays out in the future.
Mhm.
Anything else to add there?
I guess Rebecca,
Yeah,
because then I think it transitions to
yeah.
Rebecca, or we like learn about more about Rebecca.
Yeah.
Like my subheading in my Bible says Rebecca's family. So that tells me that Rebecca's family is important
Yes.
Yeah.
to come.
Yep.
Is that
Exactly.
this season though?
No, that
Yeah, I
won't be
think.
this
Yeah.
season. That'll be next season.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah.
Because we sort of went backwards. We started with Joseph, then we went back to
To
Genesis
Genesis
1
one.
through 11.
Yeah.
And now we're dealing Abraham, and the next we'll get up to Joseph by the
Yeah.
time we finish next season.
Yes.
Nice.
Right. I think we're going to stick in Genesis, so that'll
Yeah, I
be
think it
cool.
makes sense.
I do too.
Finish it.
And then we can tell people to watch them out of order. So cool. All right. So thank you, Kayla, again for sitting in
Thank
with
you
Yes.
for
us
having
today.
me. This was really fun.
Cool.
This was
Good.
really fun.
I know we might need people back.
I'll
I
say I
know.
would definitely do this again. I feel like it's always
Mark
nice
it.
to
Put
just
it down.
It's on
fruitful.
tape.
It's on tape.
I don't know. I think it's really like heartwarming, just like the overall idea of the podcast, like having different generations,
Mm,
or even like how Moya was saying, like even if all three of us right here were from the same generation, but like all three of us could have started, like have like different walks in
yep.
life.
Yeah.
So I feel like fruitful conversation in general is just always a good thing.
Awesome. 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 You got
Yeah.
anything else for us, Miss Moore?
No. Thank you to Kayla for joining us. We might be needing her back because
Yep.
Jasmine thinks she knows what motherhood is gonna do to her, but
Oh gosh.
she might need a season to get it together.
Call her out.
She might. I told her that.
You did?
I did tell her that. She was like, "No, I'm gonna be good." I'm like, "Girl, you don't even know."
It is fun. I'm glad that I'm a Gen Xer past those times. I don't have to worry about them anymore.
Yeah.
So one thing we like to do on this podcast is just offer an invitation. And this is a very apropos chapter to offer an invitation to Christ. Um, because what we see, and I think we mentioned it during the podcast, in Isaac is the type of Christ. The difference is with Christ, he was actually slain. He was actually on a cross. He was actually crucified, hung on a cross till he died. There was no staying of the hand that would put him to death. There was no call to not lay a hand on him. A matter of fact, Isaiah talks about the brutality that would be experienced. It talks about him being like a lamb led to the slaughter, but he didn't speak any words. Um, Chapter 16 of the Psalms talks about the things that happened in this thirst and the gambling over his clothes. So the difference between the two is that while Isaac's death would have proven himself, and the actions um, taken to that point did prove Abraham to God, the actions that Jesus took uh, allows us to be reconciled, all of humanity. Just as John said, John the Baptist in the Gospel of John, behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. That Christ who died on that cross, whose whose uh, whose death was not delayed or spared. Um, he's the one who takes away our sins, and he's the only one that could take away any sins. Um, so, what I like to say is, we want you to believe in the content of the gospel, which is that Jesus Christ died on the cross according to the scriptures, that he was buried, and that he was raised from the dead on the third day according to the scriptures. Go check out 1 Corinthians 15, verses 3 and 4, all of 1 Corinthians 15, to get a good understanding of what Paul is saying to the church at Corinth concerning uh, the death of Christ and what it means. So our prayer is that you would believe that. Our prayer is that somehow what we've spoken today, what we've talked about today, would have you ask the question about, who is this Jesus ultimately? Who is this Lord? And that you might come to believe that Jesus is the one who died on the cross for your sins. If you have any questions about that, drop us a DM or do whatever you young people do to get in touch with us. I'm sure that it'll get routed to any one of us who can answer the question. Um, and if you're making a decision to believe in Jesus today, we'd love to hear about that too, because we want to
Yeah.
celebrate with you. And also note that the decision and the steps and the path is not begin and end with the belief in the gospel, but there's discipleship that needs to be done. So, also, if you have any questions about a good church to attend, a Bible believing church to attend where you can be discipled, we have some tools at our disposal that can help lead you in the path of a good Bible believing church where you can be discipled. So again, we thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kayla, for sitting in for the third time. Thank you, Moyo, for all that you do. Appreciate you. And I think with that, we out of here. Another one in the can. Deuces.
Bye.